game, you heard the calls. Now he's back to crash it all.
Started pranking on the phone, made the whole world laugh. Now he's flipping up the script, got a brand new path. From Jerky Boys to the silver screen, now he's taking on the system. Know what I mean? Kamal don't quit, Kamal don't stop. From the jokes to the flicks, he be taking that shot. Crash the system, flip the plot. I laugh till it drops, yeah, we taking the top. Lights, camera, bam! He's back. Kamal's got the system under attack. Laugh, think, shake the room. Kamal's here now, the laugh starts soon.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show.
Jesus.
How about that AI intro? It goes on sometimes.
What?
Gosh.
That was a good one. I mean,
who put that together?
all AI.
Some kind of drunk or something?
Something like that.
All right.
Well,
Yeah.
a little bit drunk. Yeah, last week you got a
This
face.
guy got some mansion over there. What is that?
Oh my God, I read this out.
What?
It's okay.
behind Zaz there. Yeah, it's all green screen. I have a white brick wall behind me. He has drums.
Oh, drums. Yes,
back there.
yes.
What
A lot of
city
music.
is that? I can't tell.
Houston, Texas. Oh, him. Pittsburgh.
That's Pittsburgh.
Behind me is AI Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Oh, because of the bridge. I recognize that from when the Mets play the Pirates over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, I guess we do have a
Pittsburgh.
baseball team.
I went. We went with the Jerky Boys. I remember we went to a Pirates game. It was I think it was Barry Bonds' first game back.
Did they
when-
throw batteries at him?
Nice.
Giants and no, but I was I just couldn't believe how they were tearing down the stadium, and I said, like, I at the time I was like, wait, I'm older than this stadium. Wait, what the hell's going on here? But the stadium you guys have now is beautiful.
PNC Park is beautiful. I was
Yeah, it's
one of the
great.
people originally against. I'm like, we have a perfectly good place to play sports and the sports ball. And when I went to PNC for the first time, it is one of the most beautiful places. I love going. The Pirates never win, but it's always a good time. You know, like you don't go to watch them win because they're not going to. But you could have like a good outdoor family baseball good time. You know.
I didn't go to that the Prementi brothers place. I wanted to go there. I remember it was too late when I got to the hotel. I was so disappointed. I wanted to try it.
You know, I had 2 slices of hot pizza last time I was in New York this summer. Like you could at least have one per any sandwich.
You know, the funny thing I'll never forget about Pittsburgh, this was so funny. So I forgot what we were doing in the evening, but when I got there, I was walking around. I said, let me take a walk around Pittsburgh, see it. And it's nothing what I thought it would be. It was really very pretty. For some reason, I'm always thinking industrial smokestack.
Yeah.
You know, they said it was like that in the old days. So I'm walking around, and I must have power walked like miles. And I noticed that I pretty much was the only guy of color that I saw. Like I didn't see anyone. And I'm not making this up. About 19 people stopped me and said, "Hey, what are you doing in town? You guys are on the road." I said, "What are you talking about?" They thought I was Orlando Merced of the Pirates. I don't even look like the guy. And like I said, "What are you talking about?" They thought I was Orlando Merced.
Just walking around.
I'm the other guy. I'm the other.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you think for a second you were like outed? Oh, they know the Jerky Boys. This is awesome.
Oh, I swear to God, people was the thing that made me laugh so much. I go, I literally don't look like the guy. Like he's lighter skin, everything, right? But I was just the only guy like walking around.
Let's be fair though. I did hear like you are built like you can throw a ball around 100 miles an hour.
I mean, I wouldn't. No, not 100 miles per hour. I'm gonna say, I think probably 90 at one time.
That's for me. That's
all
around
right.
100.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love baseball and football. And the throwing the football, I could probably say. Well, you know, when you're not playing that much, you know.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just such a weasel. I'm thinking about how to work that to your advantage. Like, yeah, of course I am him. Let's go. What
the biggest regret I have is there was a team called the Goya baseball team, the food product team, and they were a semi-pro team, and they saw me pitch, and they wanted. They said, "Yo, you were very wild, but we liked it." But I was a musician and everything, and I just didn't want to put the time into that, and I always wanted. I would give anything to have been a professional baseball player, especially with the Mets.
Yeah, I hear you're a big fan. Because I did my research, and I'm like, it's Mets fan. I'm like, I can't talk baseball. Like, we don't have a professional team here. Like, you
guys you have a very storied. And let me tell you something: the Mets, our most beloved announcer, was a famous Pittsburgh Pirate player, Ralph Kiner. Late Ralph Kiner, and I learned more about baseball as a kid listening to his old timey stories, and he's one of the great Pirates of all time.
I never put those things together. I know the name, but like it's one of those like you hear.
He only led the league in home runs 7 years in a row.
I grew up when the Pirates won the last World Series. I think I was 8, and then like from that point on, there was no point in watching.
You gotta watch.
My family, like they were we grew up a little bit further south from Pittsburgh, so our what we thought of Pittsburgh was whatever sports game was on. Like that's what I thought downtown was. It was always a sport.
How far are you guys away from where Night of the Living Dead was shot?
I grew up literally about a mile away from where one of the locations were. They had a couple locations, but yeah, I was really close to one of the graveyards. One of the
great movies. What I love about that movie so much is that it's so allegoric. Like it's a horror movie, but there's so many things that it borders on. You could interpret the movie.
It's about communism. It's
about a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm a horror fan, but not like a big horror fan. Like I like monster horror movies rather than horror. But I love that movie. Because it's on a different level. Yeah,
I love it because I have to. My father, I was actually asked to be in it. He was friends with. We had a weatherman here, Bill Cardell, who did our late night horror movie show, the Chilly Billy Theater, and he would do the scary movies and have little skits. He was friends with my father and asked him to be in the movie, like because he was involved. He's like, "Hey, you want to be a zombie?" And my dad said no. I was always bummed about that, but now my dad's dead, and I don't have to watch him as a living dead zombie, so it kind of works out, Like, like how weird would it be? Like, oh, that was my dad. And that when you're young, that's cool. That's my dad. And then you're all sad when you're an adult and he's actually dead. Like,
well, just think if he was in the movie, he would be dead but alive.
Yeah, like how do you process that? Like,
the one thing I never understood about the zombie films when you sit down and think about it, if they're dead, why do they need to eat you? What's going to happen if they don't eat? Are they going to die? They're dead.
I always wondered that, like, if they're long enough zombies wandering around in whatever the TV series. Well, I didn't watch it because I was done with zombies at that point. Like, too much zombie. I was like, what if you just leave them alone for about a year? Did they eventually wither and to turn into dust? Like,
yeah, I never understood that. What happened to the other 2 guys?
Oh, they pop in and out. They're shot.
We're fired. We got our pink.
Oh, they got my phone call.
Yeah. They got DEI'd.
No, I texted some big shots over there at the. What's the name of this thing? TRS. What is this?
TRS.
We started off with giving relationship advice, and we still do.
You guys give relationship advice?
Yeah.
No, he
and
does.
Then I started interviewing people with.
Okay,
we
fellas,
started interviewing
you hold the sheep
interesting
like
people.
this.
You gotta get the sheep's boots or feet into your boots. That way they can't run away from you or get on the edge of a cliff.
All right, so what do you got? What do you got for me? What do you got?
What do I got for you? Man, I did a lot of looking into you, but what I don't know is who were you like as a kid? But before Jerky Boys, I have the suspicion that just based on having watched a lot of what you've put out there recently, that you were more of the Dungeons and Dragons playing, possibly hung out with the computer nerd kids. I just had this, not because you hung out with Vin Diesel, or at least that's what the internet says.
I mean, I didn't even have my first computer until I was, I don't know, how old was I? Like 28 or something?
Really? I just like the stuff you're writing really appeals to the kid that I was as that computer kind of
No,
nerdy
not
kid?
at all. No, I'm the last guy to get a cell phone, to get a computer. No, I'm not tech savvy. With bass guitars and bass instruments and stuff like that, I'm up to date with, and I love the classic stuff. But with computers and stuff like that, no. And no, Dungeons and Dragons and nerds like that, no, I never hung out with that crowd. No.
Oh wow! I like in my head, I'm like, absolutely. I'm watching some of the stuff in Crash the System. Like, this guy hung out with the people I hung out with. Like, you're like hitting on all like your influences. I thought went back that far, which is why I went there. So who were you like as a kid? Were you just the musician class?
Well,
like you spent a lot of time practice.
You know, the funny thing, well, yeah, I was into music. I was into sports. I was into, you know, hanging out. I had different crowds for different things that I hung out with. Like some groups I hung out with to do mischievous things, whatever. Some crowds I just hung out and we would sit on the stoop and talk about fascinating stuff. You know, older. I always had older. I lived on the street where everyone was older than me, and I only really hung out with kids my age. You know, really only in school. Most of the friends I had were like average 3 to 6 years older than me. So, in a way, I was mature.
You know that feeling?
Yeah, I was mature for my age with around my friend, but I was immature for
them,
the group that I hung out with. Yeah, until I took a powder, got out of there.
Nice. So,
where was this going again? I forgot.
Oh, no, I was just wondering who you were before. You know, before.
I watched a lot of TV. TV was my friend. I learned everything. I never did homework. I learned everything I know by TV. And when I did a test in school, it was just from what I remembered on TV, and then that, you know, just stuff I picked up on the streets and whatever. Which now looking back, that was a big waste of time. I should have went further in life. And, you know, I mean, I guess I have the genes because my father came to this country as a chemical engineer. My sister's a chemical engineer. My nieces are, you know, nuclear physicists. I mean, they
at least they mixed it up.
People. Yeah, I'm the only one that has no education and that did not follow science or math or anything like that. I don't know, you know, where it came from that I'm not. That I didn't. So
I think it comes down to what you enjoy a lot. I do enjoy the science and the nerdy aspects of a lot of things, but I don't have the interest that like a lot of people around me do. It's just, or my family. I took vocal lessons in music that way. My brother, I grew up reading every guitar player magazine ever because he was that into guitar. So talk to me about Yngwie Malmsteen. Talk to me about even Billy Sheehan. Anybody who was ever near a guitar magazine, like I grew up with that, but yet my interests were always nerdier, even though I was surrounded by the one thing.
I wouldn't call that being a nerd, man. It's just you're.
Oh, I mean, I took computers apart for fun.
Yeah, if you're into it, you're into it because the only way I get a chance to make something like Crash the System or the films that I've made is you become manic about it. I guess being a manic depressive, if you want to get technical, where when you're into it, you won't stop. You're a freight train, and until you and then you could just wake up one day and look at everything and throw it in the garbage. This is dumb, and then you just throw it away. But the key is when you become manic about it, to go with it. And I'll be staring at a blank page for like a couple of days, and then I'll go out to a bar or something, or just go to a Dunkin' Donuts and just hear some people talk, see something on the street, boom, it snaps, a synapse happens, and then it gives me an idea, or you know, and then the next thing you know, I'm typing away, and the ideas will flow. And I don't stop because you never know when that's going to just go away, and then you're looking at a blank page again for a few days.
All right.
You know, sometimes a few months. I got to realize when I got into writing heavily, when I moved into this neighborhood Hell's Kitchen, I became friendly with this guy who I thought was homeless for the first year I knew him. His name was John Ford Noonan. I thought the guy was homeless. He used to have sneakers that were falling off his feet, ripped up jogging pants, and a ripped up shirt. And he always had a basketball in his left hand, and it looked like an Emmy, but broken. And he would just come up to me because I used to have coffee every morning with these guys were like 10 years older than me in the state, but they were all these disgruntled actor types that you recognize their face, but they never made it. And all I heard from them every day was, "Oh, I should have did this. Oh, I could have did this. Oh, I would have did that." I heard it every morning, and I used to be in my head like, "Oh my God, I hope I'm not like this when I get this guy's age."
Sure.
This guy would come walking by and he'd go, "Hey, buddy. Hey, what do you think of the Jets' offensive line? They're pretty good, right?" And then I thought the guy was homeless, and I would speak to him, and then when he would walk away, I'd go, "Wow, that guy knows a lot about sport. How the hell does he get to watch all the sports? He's homeless and everything." So then finally, these two guys that I used to have coffee with every morning, I said, "I've been meaning to ask you guys, that homeless guy really knows a lot about sport. He's very intelligent when he speaks." I go, "What homeless guy?" I said, "That guy right there." They go, "That guy's not homeless. That's John Ford Noonan, the guy who won an Emmy. The guy's like a Pulitzer Prize winner." And I go, "That guy?" Right? So I became friends with him. And the thing with him as a writer, he was very disheveled. And then I never understood it. And he even had bad body, he smelled bad and he had a bad, but I loved the guy. And I would always say in my head, "But man, I just wish this guy got his act together." And then when I got heavy into writing, you realize days go by where you're typing away, and it goes from morning to night. And then the next thing you know, I didn't do my laundry. I didn't go to shopping and everything. And then you realize you didn't take a bath, and you smell and everything. I go, "Now I get it. Now I know why this guy is like that." And
He's
I had
great.
Yeah. And I said, "Now I know
like
why
hell.
he
He must
that."
be. Oh man.
Yeah.
No. I have to get to this, and there's no fun way because that's a great story. On your Wikipedia, it says that you were in an ABC After School special, but I can't find which one.
No,
it's true.
Listen,
Because let's clear it up.
No. Okay. When I was in high school, I went to two high schools. I messed up in my first one, and then I ended up going to the second one, City Ass School. It was an alternative high school for people that messed up in their first one. And it was my favorite place I was ever at. And I was hanging out on the stoop one day, and a lady came up to me, and she goes, "Hey, I'm producing this thing, and can you get a bunch of your friends to be extras and everything?" So then I rounded up a bunch of friends from school, and they put us in some scene. It was called "I Want to Go Home." And, they directed us how to, you're running to class, you're late and everything. So I ran really fast past everyone. I ran up the steps. And then another scene. And all I remember was that when there was some downtime, the two stars, I forget her name, and she had a younger girl with her. I just walked up to the two of them, and said, "Hey, what's this thing about?" or whatever. They looked at me like I had a third eye on my head or something, and a meat cleaver in my hand. They grabbed each other and they ran away. And I looked back at my friends and said, "What the hell was that about?" And they were just so weird and everything. And I was just like, "Wow, that was weird. What the hell's going on?" And the stars of that show, we just left them alone after that. They were just very standoffish.
Couldn't handle actual people.
Yeah, it was weird. And then when it came out, I remember I was watching it on TV, and I run by so fast. I didn't think I was running that fast in reality, but I learned the lesson that the camera picks up things differently, and I ran too fast for the camera. So I knew it was me, but no one else would know it was me. And I said, "Man, I should have ran slower, because then you could have seen it." But I went to see it. I saw it on YouTube, and I tried to see the part that I was in, and it wasn't in the cut that I was. But it was called, "I Want to Go Home," and I think it was Seth Green's first film.
Oh wow!
And it was shot. The two scenes were shot at City Ass School, which is if you ever seen Raging Bull, the scene where De Niro meets the girl at the swimming pool.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
she goes, "Is that your car?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's my car. You want to go for a drive?" Across the street was the school that was supposed to be the Bronx in the movie, but that was right across the street from the high school that I went to. And it had an interesting group. Like one of the Beastie Boys went there, the singer, and I never knew him. And I met him at a party, and I said, "You want to hear something funny?" We went to high school together, and he started laughing. And I said, what's so funny?" And he goes, "You know how many people would say your name in high school?" And I said, "Who the hell is this guy Kamal?" Because I was real popular my senior year there. But I told him that so many times people say at a party something, "Oh, this is Kamal, he's from the Jerky Boys." "Oh, I know you guys, hip hop, right?" And I go, "No, that's the Beastie Boys with the Jerky Boys, right?" And he said the same thing happens to them, where they go, "Hey, they're the Beastie Boys." "Oh, I know you guys, prank phone calls, right?" "No,
Prank
that's
phone
the
calls.
Jerky Boys." So he said the thing happened to them, and I said, "And I didn't know you in high school. We went to high school together. Isn't that crazy?" So that was a pretty cool high school. And then I
Hell
think
of a high school.
Vincent Spano went there too, but I didn't know him either. There was a couple of people. Vin Diesel I knew before his career got big. He used to live in this building called Westbeth, which is on the west side of Manhattan, and it was a building that a lot of artists used to live in. And when I met him, I knew him through some other friends. And when I met him, I knew he was going to be a star. He just had star quality, and I didn't know how he was going to be a star, but I just knew it. There's some people you meet, there's something that there's a radiance they have that you just know. I said, "Yeah, this guy's going to be famous or whatever." And then I never saw him again. So then I'm watching Saving Private Ryan, and the whole time I'm saying, "That can't be. No, that can't be." Right? And then when I saw the credits, his name, I said, "He made it. Wow. I can't believe it." Yeah, and the girl I used to
Amazing though.
know in City Ed school, she kind of made it a little bit. Lisa Marie, she was in she used to be going out. She used to go out with the director that made The Nightmare Before Christmas, Tim Burton.
Yeah.
And he used her in the movie about Ed Wood. She was in Ed Wood, and she was in the Mars Attacks and everything. But we went to high school together too. Yeah.
Ed Wood is a modern classic to me. Is one of the
I think that's his best film.
movies of all time. Yeah. It's so you went. You have an interesting life, like all over. Like you're a pinball of just interesting, like bits of pop culture that have impinged on you.
It's only because you know me for the everyone, your two friends.
Sure, that's how I know you. But like in digging into your life, like I had like just these little. So you went from being a regular guy. You're working as a bartender, right? You're working or a bouncer.
No,
right?
I was a bouncer.
Yeah, you're a bouncer, and then a year later. You're selling 6 million albums, Grammy nominated.
No,
like, that's interesting.
That's not entirely true. I was a bouncer, and then I left that world, and I decided to go to cooking school, and I was doing really well, as a matter of fact. And my father said, "Figures the best grades this guy ever got has to do with eating." And I was doing good.
That one down, yeah.
Right. And then after the Jerky Boy thing came out, I had a month to go before I graduated, and the record company said, no, we need you guys to promote. And I had to leave that school, but I really liked it over there. I learned everything. I was learning the mother sauces, how to hold a
cooking's amazing. Properly. I love cooking.
Well, I would have been maybe it's the best thing to have, because they would have put me in a lifetime placement with restaurants, whatever. I'd probably be the size of a 5-family house right now if I continued on that, because I would have. I mean, when I was cooked, we used to leave. They used to let you leave with all the food you made, and there was days that I left with so many pastries that I had to give them to people on the street.
Yeah,
I would just give, like, bums or whatever. I would just give boxes and boxes away of all these pastries. Then I would get attacked by people that they wouldn't let me
They
leave.
knew who you were. You had the smell.
Yeah. I felt like the guys that feed pigeons and the pigeons cry. Yeah, so it was something like that. I forgot where this was going. By the way,
we were going with like how that like I really a couple questions around it, but like because I do the relationship thing, like your album when it did go big and you're out promoting, let's say your parents, they're trying to describe what their son does for like, do they play their friends the album like he's a Jerky Boy, he does this?
My father didn't understand it at all. My father was a funny guy, but very serious, and he did not like art. He was totally into math, science. He would get angry when I wanted. I mean, eventually I'd break him down and get me a bass or a bass amp when I was 15 or something like that. But it was always math, science. You work, you die, math, science, like that kind of thing and everything. My mother was more into music and stuff like that, movies and everything like that. So when I first played the Jerky Boy calls he didn't know what the hell he was listening to. And my mother had a sense of humor because my mother was born here, but my father didn't understand it. I remember the Connie Chung show. That was the first time I ever let him hear anything. The first thing you could see it on YouTube when the Connie Chung did a big story about us when we were first coming up, and they had my father listening to one of the pranks that I did for the first time. I thought he was going to get mad. I got to be honest.
I was waiting for and then I got my ass beat. I'm an adult and my dad's throwing fists.
No,
wow.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
No, I know.
The Connie Chung was like your first like the national media exposure.
The biggest one. I think
close,
we did a couple of shows, but she was the biggest one, at the time. This is when we were hiding our faces and everything.
So that ended with the movie. I kind of want to touch on, but so you're well. Let's get into the movie here. You get the movie deal, and by the way, I'm still mixed on the movie. I'll be honest with you. Like I watched it this year, and it's the reason I thought I really want to talk to him.
It ended our careers. It was a. I know there's a lot of fans of it now, underground, but it was a bomb, like more or less.
I know it did do great. I saw it in the theater. One of the people I went with a friend. I have a friend. He's probably watching us now. He was the guy we'd get we'd get a case of beer, would put the tapes on, and we would just play it while drinking beer. And he was the guy that would say every line before you guys said it. He was that guy. Right. So and then I saw it in the theater. But as an adult looking back on it now, I was just curious, how much control did you have, and how much do you think that you should have had to make it what you wanted?
Well, the biggest problem is that they viewed John Brennan as the leader, and when we were being courted by Hollywood, Warner Brothers said to us, "We're Warner Brothers. We got famous with mob movies. You can make any kind of movie you want with us." And I was like, let's go to Warner Brothers. And the guy couldn't have been a nicer guy. Then we met the Touchstone guy from Disney, and he flat out said, "We're Disney. At the end of the day, you can't make any kind of movie you want with us because we're still like Disney with children and everything like that." And he wanted to go with Touchstone, and he said, "Oh, but they got the best distribution." And I go, "What do you know about that stuff?" So when we went to them, we couldn't. I thought it was cute, the movie, I guess, but I thought if we went with Warner Brothers, it would have been like more edgier, and we weren't handcuffed and everything like that. We wouldn't have been handcuffed like with Touchstone. Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, hey, listen, to be some guy that was in a cooking school and a bouncer, and then they're making a movie with you in it. I can't complain. It was an amazing experience.
Hell yeah.
And I got to be honest. If it was a huge hit, like say it was like Wayne's World or something, I really don't know if I could have done a second and third one. I think I was kind of tired of the experience after with the whole thing pretty much by then.
Well, you certainly went in a different direction, and I'm glad you did. Honestly, the enjoyment I get out of Crash the System is a whole other level. What you have done, I've purposely, I every time I interview somebody, I go and I view their work and what they've done recently and some past stuff. And I don't mind saying this. You're one of the first people. If you were a no-show tonight, I'm still finishing the series. I got to finish the last episode of season 1, and you're killing me. I don't know. You're amazing. I love what I'm seeing. I loved your writing. The first 5 minutes of episode 1, I was hooked, because who the hell starts off a series with a 5-minute speech about religion and God saving lives, and with no cuts? You just like, this is what I'm doing, and you're either in with it or not. And I was in. Pretty much. And I'm letting you lead me. It's one of those things where I trust you now. I was probably, actually, it was episode 4. I trusted you. I'm like, whatever he does, I know it's going to be the right decision.
Well, if you liked episode 4 and you're watching season 1, wait till you see season 2.
I've read the intros.
Yeah, wait till you see season 3, which I mean, they get crazier and crazier, and I'm even blown away, like the stuff that just is starting to happen. With the ideas and working with some of the great actors that I came with.
Your actors.
We got you. I don't know if you recognize. Did you get past episode 4?
Oh, I have to finish the episode 7, the last one.
Well, if in the series, being that you said you're a Jerky Boy movie fan, you would notice James Lorenz, Peter Appel is in there. Yeah, the one of the mobsters that were chasing us, Peter Appel. And
to be fair, I also recognize him from Becker. I was a fan of that show, and when I heard his voice, he has a very unique voice and delivery.
Yes, he does.
And I picked him out, and I was like, Becker. And then I saw he was in your other. I'm like, oh yeah, holy crap, was Brett Weir?
That's the one of the great things that came out of that movie is I became very close friends with James Lorenz and Peter Appel, and we remain very close friends to this day from that movie.
That's and I'm really glad you did, because I'm afraid of talking about it.
I'm the one that got a Vinny Pastore, Big Pussy. I'm the one that got that guy famous.
Gangster.
When we were in casting, there was a pile. I went to the director's office, and there was a pile of 8x10s on the floor. And I said, how's it going finding the main mob guy? And he says, it's been tough. We've been seeing a lot of people. They're very good, but I haven't found anyone. And I looked on the floor, and I saw Vinny Pastore's face, and the guy looked like the guy couldn't be more New York looking than this. I go, whoa, who's this guy? And I go, well, who the hell's this guy? Look at this guy. You got to use this guy. And then he goes, well, he did read pretty well. I don't know. We could have him come in again and everything. I mean, I used to always break his chops about that. Listen, if he didn't have what it took to get the part, he wouldn't have got the part. Okay, maybe I.
Oh yeah, he's not
by 10, but I mean, the guy had his talent got him there.
But he got him in front of you as well, and you recognized it. I think there's something to that, and I think I'm fortunate that I get to meet a lot of up and coming people now, and just some people you like. There's a feeling like there's something like you're great at this, and that's one of the reasons I was excited to meet you, because it's like, yeah, I know of you from the Jerky Boys, but meeting you as the guy who's created Crash the System is you're a whole other person to me now. I want to keep this interview about. I want to keep this Crash the System thing because I think more people need to see it. This is quality, everything about it. Josh and I were talking about it before you joined the show. Like, he can't not watch it either. Once you start an episode, it's that good. It really. There's one thing I do want to ask you real quick about episode 3. It starts off, and I watched it on Amazon, so you get the little warning. There's nudity in this episode, and there is.
There's no nudity in episode 3.
Yeah, there is. It's on a cell phone.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'm all looking forward to the nudity.
No.
And this director guy comes around. He's like, "Oh, you want nudity? Bam!" But
yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
I didn't think they were. It was partial.
It still counted it, and I think it took the ads off of that episode.
You're kidding. Wow. That's
So
crazy.
yeah,
Because
I'm
I
not
very
positive.
rarely have nudity in my films.
Well, you don't need it. You absolutely don't need it. Your ability to write character speeches, monologues, whatever, like, is something I haven't seen in a long time. It almost reminded me of like when Kevin Smith was at the peak of his game, writing long speeches for somebody like Randall in Clerks 2 in the prison scene. That is some of the best writing that's ever come out of him. And you are regularly doing that at least once an episode. You have something that you're challenging your actor, and that's kind of where I wanted to go next. Where did you find these guys?
That is a
Corey?
incredible question, because I mean, if you saw how I shot this series, you would be like, no. There's no way. I don't have a budget. It's just a camera, a sound person, and the actors, and we guerrilla style most of it. And they go, where do you find these actors? It's a combination of three things. It's either people that I've run across by watching a ton of indies, regular films, people recommending me stuff that I look at, and I'll pick out an actor and go, wow, this guy's pretty good, or she's pretty good. I got to remember this, right? Or I walk the streets, I hang out, and I'll just come across a real character, and I'll be like, hey, you ever thought about it being in a project with a camera in front of your face? And they laugh and they go, no, and I go, well, then you're just for me, and then, and I know how to and I tell you, when you have a skeleton crew, and I'm lucky that I have usually most of my DPs, they have a very easy, very disarming personality. And, obviously I'm a guy from the streets. I could talk to just about anybody. So I think most of the time people, when they're being filmed, they forget that they're in a series, because like we set up the atmosphere in such a way that, oh yeah, that's right, we're shooting something, right? Like most people forget. And that's what I want. And I don't do a lot of takes, and I don't have long shooting days. I don't like long days shooting, and I hate a ton of takes. Look, my first feature was God Has a Rap Sheet, and that was like, what is it? It was 2001 I shot it. What year are we in now? All right. So it's been that many years. And
you must be doing something right. Scorsese liked it.
Well, yeah, I'll say this, that, when you're shooting scenes, it looks like in person that the more takes you do, it gets better and better. And technically it does, because the actors get the dialogue perfect. The timing becomes perfect. Everything's perfect. But then when you go in editing, the funny thing is the first two takes, which are the raw ones, which the actors don't quite know where to take, those are the ones that seem the most real. And the other ones, even though they're technically on point, they seem more contrived, a little bit more, too polished and everything. And, in real life, because I'm trying to shoot it like a documentary, the style, like the cinema verite, I like getting the first two takes, like something like, I think you get the most realism out of that. The most pure.
Corey Duvall doesn't seem like somebody you need to do two takes on.
Corey
I don't
Duvall
know.
Is one of the most intense actors I've ever worked with.
He hooks me.
He's a very interesting guy, and he was recommended to me by someone from my old neighborhood when I was doing this movie called The Martyr Maker, and I needed someone to play an Arab, type of guy, and I was having a hard time. I really was trying to find someone that was Middle Eastern or Arab, and I was having the hardest time. And he goes, well,
in New York,
pass for one. It's just that at the time,
I know.
They didn't want to do terrorist movies or whatever, and I was getting a hard time. And then a lot of people had all these demands that were so crazy. And I said, you realize this is a low budget movie, right? So when I met Corey, I said, well, he could pull that part off. And then his commitment to the craft really really opened my eyes. And the one thing I love about the actors in Crash the System is that their commitment to really putting the work in is something that I really I marvel at, because you know, an actor, if you're a musician, you have your instrument, you have your music to show people. An artist, you have your paintings, you know. But when you're an actor, you don't have anything to show unless you're acting. You know, you can see. So it puts you in a weird mindset all the time. So when an actor really gets into a part, into a character, and they live the character and they play the character, I'm really blown away by that, you know. And I've been lucky. I've been really lucky with finding. But a lot of people I found just by I'll go on YouTube and I'll look up New York City acting reels, and I'll see like 10,000 acting reels, and I'll go through like hundreds of them a day until I find someone, you know, that you know, because I really hate dealing with managers or agents. They're very obnoxious. They're very toxic. They act like you're doing them a favor. You know, like
I just interviewed Uwe Boll, and I've heard the same thing, like very similar from him. Yeah, he's like, it's just easier to deal with them one-on-one. I
just rather if the minute I meet an actor that gives me, you got to speak to my agent, Jazz. 90% of the time, that's a see ya for me, unless like I really need the person. I mean, there's times the actor says, "Look, I'd rather deal with you one-on-one, but that's what I have this agent for. Can you just please just make a call, just so
make them earn their money?"
Yeah, something like that. Then I'll go, okay, fine. But when when there's this disconnect between me and I really don't like agents. So I really don't like them. No.
If you can't talk like humans right now, how are you going to talk like humans on the set when you're trying to get something done quickly and they're
Listen, I get why you need them. I mean, I had one at one time and everything like that, but you know, it's a different animal when you're making these indie, you know, low budget things like that. You know, you're not dealing with any kind of money that anyone's going to get rich off of and everything. So then you got to put up with it's just all the stuff with the agents and managers. It's just.
Yeah, I got to tell you though, I know that this is indie and I know it's low budget, but you don't film it like that and you don't write it like that.
No,
and even the Foley work in most places is just perfect. And I got a secret weapon. Of the music too, right? Yeah.
I got a secret weapon, and Paul Goodrich was, when we were in the Jerky Boys. There was, you know, even though they're prank calls and everything, there was still a lot of dead air and whatever, and we had to have someone. So the record company sent us to this guy, Paul Goodrich, Merlin Studios, it was called at the time. And the guy was so fast, so friendly, so perfect what he did. I thought everyone was like that, you know? And then when I went to use someone else, I would be like, wait, why is this guy taking like forever? And I realized it was this guy, Paul Goodrich, was the guy's so good at what he does. I've been with him when George Lucas's people called him up to ask questions, you know, like this guy's that much of a, so he takes stuff like, if I had the worst sound guy ever, and believe me, when you have a low budget, you can't get the best, you know, of anything. So you'll have and you can have $100 million movies with sound problems. You know, that's why there's reshoots. That's why you got to do Foley and you got to do ADR. So this guy he's my secret weapon. He knocks out a lot of shortcomings. You know, and then I got lucky with a lot of the DPs. They're really talented, and they could be working with someone else making a whole lot more money. But they like that I have short shooting days. They like the work. And the secret thing that I do that they figured out by now, I take everyone out to eat a good dinner, a good meal, because I know the spots. I'm like a foodie, right? And I said, you'll get more people to work with you if you feed them good to great food than if you give them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a slice of pizza every day. They'll never show up after the third day. I don't care if you're Orson Welles in his prime. They won't go for that after 3 days. You know, so
I mean, food is what gets me through. Like, I'm, by the way, I've been on Wegovy for every year now. I'm normally a much bigger face. So
Right.
I get the food motivation, and food, even now that I'm eating like a normal human, it's still at 5 o'clock. I'm looking forward to that meal. That's a
Yes.
break in my day, and it's got to be a good meal now, and not just like I could horse down whatever. So yeah, if treating somebody well, or like this something to look forward to on day 4 or 5. Like, we're gonna have a good day, no matter what. Even if today's hard at work, when we're done, it'll still be a good day. Food does that.
Absolutely.
I just
A little lull came over us, right?
yeah,
A little lull. Where's the other 2 guys? Maybe they got some.
They need to pop up. Yeah, you guys start talking.
What did you take a powder?
You're on the phone with the Jerky Boy, and you're not saying a word. You're muted, Dan. Zaz.
We do actually have.
No, I'm
Have
going to
some,
say it, Josh.
Oh, go for it, please.
We have
You
a
know who
question.
you guys got to get on here? One of my dear friends is Damien Leone, who has the hit movie Terrifier. The
Oh.
Yes,
killer
I'm
clown.
do- we
Yeah,
were
you
just
did a voice on there.
Yeah. What is this? You know everything I've done? What's going on?
I do the research. I don't want you to. I hate when an interviewer comes in and either they're just reciting movies, or they don't know about the person. I wanted to do the research. Like, I wanted you to not have to fill me in on everything. Like, I'm a dumb interview guy, so I'll read up on you. It's a
But
stock.
you didn't see season 2 yet, though.
I didn't. I
You
honestly thought that I was going to be able to pour through these.
Right? There's a demerit card system I have it. You get 3 demerits for not seeing.
Make it 4. Come on, let's
4
get this
demerits.
crazy.
You want to go for
I will
5?
say this: there is an alternate dimension in the future where I did watch season 2. So,
Oh, you like
Fine.
that ultimate? Yeah. That solves a lot of story plots. Like a lot
ask
of
Marvel. Ask Marvel. And Star Trek, and yeah.
Yeah.
So, what were you saying, Josh?
No.
Somebody have a question from one
Oh
of the...
no, we have questions in the audience, and
Sure, bring them up.
Let me see
Yeah.
if you guys want to have this real quick.
Also, once a year, how much feeling was it to do a prank album that was under your control?
Oh, you're out. You're
You know, even with the Jerky Boys, I did whatever I wanted to do. You know, only when we had, you know, obviously like a falling out and everything, that I just didn't want to work. But I've always, even with the Jerky Boy, whatever I did, I did. So that didn't the solo album I put out, that had no bearing on. It was the same process.
I'm curious. At that point in was the process like you sitting around at home on a phone with a recorder, or did you go into a studio? And
No, it was
and
always at home. Yeah, never in the studio.
Yeah, I didn't know if it evolved over time. Like, no, we could record this better if you're in a studio. Then we'll have a lawyer jump on and get their signed form.
I like
or
it
whatever.
ghetto. I like to keep it like old school, where it sounds like anyone could do it. You know,
Some of that creative control. That's pretty awesome and rare nowadays. I don't imagine like if you did that now as opposed to several decades ago, it'd be a completely different environment, right?
we came at the right. I mean, right now, if we came out, we'd obviously be doing YouTube pranks or something. You know, like what you see.
Don't say that, please.
Right. But we came at the right time for the right. Just think, if we came out even 5 years later than we did, no one would have bought the CDs because it would have been shared on the computer for free. But when we started, the computer wasn't the internet wasn't really a big thing back then. You
had to copy tapes the old school way, where you press pause on this one when it already has a record, and you hurry up and play. And if you're one of the rich kids, you had the 2 times dubbing speed radio.
Yeah, it's luck and timing has to do with a lot of.
You also had like stations like MTV willing to like platform it as well, which was like it's totally different than it is now, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, is MTV even still out?
MTV's no. I mean, it's still on, but yeah, it's not. It's a shadow of its former self, man. But
the funny thing, I remember back in the early '80s, they were saying, because I remember once a month on a Sunday night, they would by law, I think they had to have educational programming or something. And I remember I was watching one of their episodes where the people behind MTV said that the future they want to be all programming. Like the music thing was to hook people into it, and then eventually they were going to get into it. And I thought that was so odd.
Yeah,
and I still think it's odd because, like, who cares about their programming?
you make money when you own the property, and they didn't own the musicians or the music, so they only made money off commercials. So when they owned 18 and Pregnant and what are the other
that's a good
shows?
point. That's a good point. And another thing that I remembered about them is whenever anyone got too popular on the show, they got fired, because they had this thing that no one is bigger than MTV. So if you start getting too famous, we fire you just out of spite, whatever. You don't.
Randy of the Redwoods gone.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, I forgot her name. I met her in a party. She was really big and
short one.
No, there's a lot. Very beautiful Latina. Mary Post. I can't remember her name, but they got. What was her name?
Kari Wurr is that popped into my head real quick, but Fuentes.
Daisy Fuentes, yeah.
No, not her. No.
Nathaniel would have said Dan Cortez, but I stopped him before.
He had beautiful hair. You shut up.
I can't remember, but MTV. But no, is there any other questions?
Oh yeah, well, actually, it's from Say Malloy. He states, hold on, let's bring this. I could do this too. Johnny Brennan revisited the Jerky Boys and been putting out calls. Have you checked those out lately? Thoughts?
Listen, I'm all for someone, trying to put a few dollars in their pocket. But all right, there's a movie I made called Laugh Killer Laugh, and I was editing. The editor lived on the Upper East Side, and when I was editing at his apartment, and I had to wake up very early to drive there and find a spot and everything. And on Facebook or one of these things I was on, they said, "Hey, your ex-partner is going to be on Good Day New York," and I was up early every day, like 5, 6 in the morning. So I was eating oatmeal. It was in the winter, and I said, let me see what's going on. So I turn it on, and he's sitting on the couch, and he's 5 years older than me, and he's like the guy, Greg Kelly. He's a big Jerky Boy fan. He has the Greg Kelly show and everything, and he's like, "So Johnny, do some voices and everything." And John's like, "Get Brett where I says," and he's doing all this stuff and everything. I'm just eating my oatmeal, and when it was over, I actually put the bowl down and I went, I got to give him credit, because if I never got into filmmaking and I was sitting next to him on that couch and, "Hey, so come on, do some of your voices. My tooth hurts," and I'm still doing the same stuff, I think I would have came home that morning and went up to the attic and did something I can't say.
All right,
let's go through the list, guys. What we can
with some Bibles to come knocking on your door.
Yeah.
In Minecraft afterwards.
I just couldn't. I was just like, I can't even imagine myself doing that right now. I can't.
Let's be fair, it's tough to keep up. Cheech and Chong couldn't keep it up. You can't be the same characters.
There's nothing like someone played me the calls. It doesn't work today. It doesn't. Like it's calling. Someone. Look, let's face it. The world has changed.
We're all bitter.
You got to walk on eggshells. You got to be so careful what you say. You can't even say a joke anymore. So we're living in a different time than when we first came out, as
100%.
As you all know.
Do you know how fast I would get fired from my job if I did a Tarbosh impersonation?
You did, and one of the things that worked with him is that if I'm sitting next to him, he could say some of these things, and well, look, he has a minority next to him. He could, right? So when you're by yourself doing it, I think I read a review that said, no one cares about a middle-aged white guy making fun of third world answering service people, or whatever, customer service people, and I laughed in the sense that, wow, that's how far we've come. Like, well, you can't even, like a crack. But I said, look, everything every 20 years it changes everything. But I just can't picture doing that right now. I don't really know how he does. I wish he would have got into something else. But I mean, that's what he wants to do. So more power to him,
Hey, everybody has something different that makes them happy. And I did have another thing I could lead on to, unless you guys have another question or two you want to get up.
No, I think that's pretty much it. I was going to make a Jason Bay reference, but yeah, I think the time's passed for that one.
Yeah, sorry. just the ability to do something doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. There's always doing the next thing or stretching yourself. And I wanted to talk to you about like when you sat down in front of the typewriter or computer and you said, I'm going to write my first movie or my first project. Was that something that went natural with you? You're like, I have to do something different. This is what I'm going to do.
No. Well, you see, I only pursued the Jerky Boy thing because I was trying to break into the music industry because I was in bands and everything. And everyone said to me, I don't know, man, this comedy thing that you played me, that you better stick with that, man, or maybe you could get in the door. So that's the only reason I pursued it. But then when I got in that door, I realized I was too old to try to do any kind of rock band thing or anything like that. So I said, hey, this is the man upstairs. This is the route he wants me to drive. Let's just go for it. But the writing, I was always into creative writing. I was always into that kind of stuff. So none of these things that I'm doing with Crash System is foreign to anyone that knows me. They know I was always into all these other things. Yeah, music, writing. I mean, look, when I went to art design high school, I changed my major from art to motion pictures. I was in the class with Damien Lichtenstein, the guy that made the movie 3,000 Miles to Graceland. And Spike Lee's brother, Sankey Lee, who I just saw a movie, invited me to a screening of a movie he just made. And we had an assortment of some other people in the class, but that was the first exposure I had to filmmaking. You know, the funny thing, I learned filmmaking. This is my filmmaking. When I was 7, I had a cousin that was about 5 years older than me, maybe 6 years old, 7. And this is 1973, 74. We would go to 42nd Street and go sit in the movie theaters and watch Bruce Lee and blaxploitation and gangster films and all that stuff, the Grindhouse. And I was watching this stuff at that young. And I swear to God, I was so little that whenever like a movie with nudity came on, I would get mad at him going, I don't want to see this stuff. I want to see Bruce Lee. Because, you know, he was at the age where he wanted to see, you know, and that shows you how young. And I'll never forget, everyone goes, well, what happened when you get, you know, and wait a minute, how are you getting into movie theaters? It happened every time. We went to the movie theater. The lady at the booth would go, he can't come in. He's just a kid. And my cousin would go, I'm babysitting him. And she'd go, oh, okay, come in. like they didn't want me in. But then when he said, I'm babysitting him, they'd let us in. And then I said, never in the millions of times we went did any weird stuff happen. No one sat next to us, no weirdos, nothing. They left us alone. And we watched the movies. And the only thing that used to confuse me is when we would leave, it was always right before supper time. We had to get out. Back in those days, as long as you were home by supper time, no one got in trouble. Excuse me. And when I was
that life.
Yeah, when I was leaving, there would be the beginnings of seeing the hookers and the pimps on 42nd Street. And I was so confused because I didn't know what was going on. They looked like they were wearing some kind of Halloween costume thing, but it wasn't Halloween. And I remember like I'd come out and I'd just be staring. And I remember one hooker said, hi, sugar, like, you know, all this kind of stuff. And my cousin would grab me. And I was like, what's going on here? And everything like that. But I didn't realize it at the time. That's where my film school started, by studying all these movies, seeing in these grindhouse places. And the weirdest thing, we used to have a home camera in the house that didn't even work. But I used to, as a little kid, I would pick up the camera and pretend I was shooting a film. And in my head, how to edit it and what to put in it. So these two things, without even realizing it, was my introduction to the love of films, the love of writing, the love of movie making, the love of the whole thing. And the love of New York.
I did notice some of your styles, like especially in cramped spaces, like you go low on the floor, like the scenes filmed in the stairwell of the apartment.
Well, I
love those scenes because I'm seeing something the human eye doesn't normally see in that situation, and it draws my focus where you want it.
Yes, I want to point out that I'm a huge fan of certain photographers, and one of my favorite photographers is Ouija, who is this really crazy New York City guy that would drive around, and he had a like a dark room in the back of his car, and he would know where accidents were and police scenes and everything. He would show up and take these like crazy in your face pictures that just look so real. And so, but at the time they didn't get it. They thought it was, they didn't think of it as art. And I love his stuff. I want my films to look like Ouija photographs. And that's what, that's what inspires me. In the old days, filmmakers used to look at a painting and they would keep the painting, the mood of the painting for what they had for the whole film. But my thing is to study a lot of photographs. I don't copy anything, but the vibe, is what I look for.
Yeah, when I sit down to write, I have to have music, and the music is the vibe of what I'm writing. It doesn't even have to be right, because I'm a metal guy, heavy metal, and
who's your band?
Oh, right now as an adult, if Mike Patton is in it, I go. Mr. Bungle, Faith No More, just one of those things. I'll go. But yeah, so it's because I grew up with the vocal things. I think he's a vocalist to try to get near.
Sure.
Training wise, but yeah.
I thought you were going to say someone from the 70s when I was growing up.
All right, fine, Ozzy, because he was I grew up with actually my favorite Black Sabbath is with Dio, which is sacrilege. I know.
Hey, listen, one of the I saw the Black and Blue tour, Blue Oyster Cult and Black Sabbath, and that was with,
I saw Cult.
Yeah, that was Ronnie James Dio's first. They even made a movie. It's very rare. It's called the Black and Blue movie. I think it's out of print. But
never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's footage from that tour. But when I met Ozzy in a Jerky Boys movie, he thought I was pulling his leg. I was the biggest. Deep Purple and Sabbath were my two favorite bands. Yeah, I love Zeppelin and all that stuff. But
Deep Purple for me started the whole, like they're on the top of the family tree or whatever. Like they're that, and then you break everybody out. Graham Bonnet and Joe Lynn Turner and
right.
Yeah. Everything they did. But go ahead. Sorry.
But I'm saying when I met Ozzy, he thought like I learned about Sabbath just because he was in the movie. And I said, bro, and I was telling him all kinds of Sabbath stories that only a fan would know. And he was like, what? You really knows about Sabbath, mate? And I was like, it was like the biggest honor in the world. He invited me to his 50th birthday party. And that was one of the biggest honors I ever had to go. I used to get.
Oh, you did go?
Yeah, I used to get Christmas cards from him and Sharon and everything. But when that Jerky Boy thing faded away, they stopped coming, the cards and everything. But what are you going to do? For that moment, you know how Hollywood is. But for that moment, it was great. But they were always very nice to me. The last time I dealt with them, I called her office and I asked if I could have, if they could front me tickets. They were playing when Sabbath got together. They were playing in the Brennan Byrne Arena, and I went. And it was one of the greatest shows I ever saw. And it was like the old lineup, and I felt like a kid. And then I was backstage at one of these, and I met Roger Glover, the bass player from the Deep Purple, the Mach 2 lineup. And I was like a kid when I met him. He couldn't believe how much I knew about Deep Purple and everything. The first show I ever saw, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow, 1979 at the Beacon Theater. I saw it as a 13-year-old kid. And it was the loudest my ears were. I couldn't hear.
Yeah, they were breaking world records at that time. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but like they were in the Guinness Book of World Record of the loudest show Deep ever. Purple. Richie Blackmore, that was my man as a kid.
Yeah, no, I was definitely.
I love them. And I never met him. I used to dream like to go to the accountants and hope that I would bump into him, and I never did.
I think the accountant goes to him probably.
Yeah. He was. He
calls out.
Yeah, he's a pretty. All right.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about Randy Roachtrap.
Yes.
Now, I did, of course, look, and it seems like one thing links him to you through another childhood friend. Did you know him? Is he your Jason Mewes?
The funny thing with him, when I lived in the Lower Side, I'm older than him, a little older. I would be bopping around the streets, and he would be hanging out on a street corner with a bunch of his friends, and they were younger. And I would just come up and break balls, crack jokes, and everything, and make them laugh, and we'd laugh, and I'd walk going my way. But I used to see them all the time for years, and he was a good-looking kid back then, and everything. And then when some film I was making, I wanted him in it. And I asked someone, how do I get in touch with him? And I got in touch with him, and he came by, and he had tattoos all over his face. And I was like, I haven't seen him. He was almost a model when I knew him. And then he looked like something out of Oz. And I just stared at him, and he started laughing. He goes, yeah, I think I got carried away. So we both started laughing, but it gives him character. And he's such a character, and he's truly one of a kind type of guy.
Yeah, I was wondering like how much is written and how much is him.
Well, the smart thing I do, I don't know if it's smart, and it's tricky, is if I put someone in that I know or someone to say I don't know, I'll try to get to know them, and if I know them very well, I'll get to know them even more. And then I write the part to adhere to their personality. So it's almost like, it's not like they're acting. See what I'm saying? Like I have them say dialogue that they would say.
That they would actually say, yeah.
That they would actually say. So in the name Randy Roachtrap, every time I think about that, I don't know where it came from. I just laugh all the time. Randy Roachtrap. That is one of...
It fits though.
I don't even smoke pot, and I came up with that name. I was like, where did I come up with that? That was hysterical. I said, well, he has to be somewhat of a slime ball. What do we call him? Slick slime? Nah, that's not. And I just kept going down until I got to Randy Roachtrap. I was going to call him Randy Roach Motel, but then I thought Roachtrap was better.
They'll come after you. Yeah.
Or Rat Trap. I think it was Rat Trap at first, and then I changed it to Roach Trap. Yeah.
Roach Trap. Yeah, I like Rat Trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, right call. Totally. And yeah, I saw him in there, and I was like, do you find an actor and then you tattoo him up and do that to their hair, or is that him?
No, that's
the whole thing. Yeah,
that's him. That he is a tattooed guy. He's actually like a famous. He in his own world, he does his hip hop, heavy metal stuff, and he's a very well known guy. If you Google him, you'll see like a million things on him.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna dig in on him more actually. Because I just got fascinated by like, that happens in your whole series. I think it was season 4 or episode 4. I should say there will be a season 4. In episode 4, I hope. In episode 4, there's a scene where he has now been exposed and he's trying to win people back. I think it's the religious group, and he's telling a story, and you know that the story's all bullshit.
Right.
You think it's all bullshit. And then you realize this is an actor acting in a scene in a movie who's still convincing you somehow. And then at the end, everything still changes, like whether it was bullshit or not. And that is the genius of your direction. That's the genius of your writing. That's the genius of your actors. That scene made everything make sense for what you were going for at that point. And I was like, I get it.
Well, listen, 75% of directing is casting. If you get... And when I say casting, I also mean crew. I also mean everything. When you get the right people to play the right part, what are you directing? You know what I'm saying? The direction is, this is what I wrote. You're the most perfect person for this part, and this is where I'm setting up the camera, and this is what I want. You know, and just go. That the magic starts like that. You know, so it's like. The only time you really have to direct is when the acting isn't there or the scene isn't there. And then you got to go, uh-oh, this isn't working. Well, let me try this. Let me do this. Let me get rid of some lines, whatever. That's the only time you're really directing, you know, but if you're prepared and what you're ready to do and you have the right people for the part, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like you think you're directing. If Al Pacino and say this is Al Pacino from the 70s, and with the recently departed my mind just went blank. The French Connection. Gene Hackman, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was like,
Gene Hackman and Al Pacino are in a scene, and you know they know they're going over the lines, they know what to do and everything, and you have just a one shot of the two of them, just a wide shot of the two of them. Where's the direction? You're talking to two of the most brilliant actors ever, you know. And I always say, you know, directing is kind of overrated in the sense that I use The Honeymooners as a great example. I go, 90% of The Honeymooners is that one living room. I mean, the dining area or whatever, right? That's 90% of the show. And the acting and the writing is so great. You do not care about camera tricks. You don't care that you're not seeing the bedroom exterior shot. You're focused on the acting and the story.
And it was
right?
like what, 4 actors usually tops in any episode?
Yes, four actors, and
they never had a guest.
Well, they had their people they would bring on, you know, every year. But I would say, like, you know, at the end of the day, the most important thing is the writing, because with strong writing, you attract strong acting. And I think the most important thing is the directing, not the first. If you ask me, I think the writing attracts the really good acting. And then, I mean, you know, you could do, like I said, you could do a Honeymooner shot, just a wide shot of the acting and the stories there. What you could get away with that.
And yeah, I agree. And yeah, well, let's get out of here. You've given us an hour, and I just want to keep digging in and keep going further, and that's not fair to you and everybody watching. But before we get out,
Josh, one person asked the question in the whole time. How many people? What is this?
We got anything else
out
there?
Generally, everyone got quiet for a second.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh,
what's up, guys? Diesel.
Diesel Green. Oh, I like that name. Diesel Green. Sounds like a football player, like a running back.
Oh.
So, any questions, Diesel? No question. All right.
No, yeah, it's a bit of a delay too. So when you ask a question, you got to give it a couple seconds for.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on YouTube.
Those delays, huh? What is this? The Pittsburgh delay thing? What's going on?
I'm in Houston. No, this is just
Houston.
Sorry.
Wait, so wait, I'm
streaming
confused. Who's in Pittsburgh here?
This guy. That guy.
Those two. Yeah.
Two-thirds of you are from Pittsburgh, and you're from Houston.
Well, technically, we all met in Pittsburgh. You know, we all worked on a bunch of creative stuff. We're doing a bunch of art and whatnot, and then we all kind of broke out. Job brought me down here in Houston, and we're still doing our thing. You know.
Now I heard Houston's a real partying town. Is that true?
I mean, compared to Pittsburgh, I don't know. It is, I guess. I figured here's the way it goes. Come on, like, listen, if you know people anywhere is a party in town. Like, I went to Vegas and I liked Vegas, but like they were like, oh, it's like I'm like, I went crazy in New York and I was up till like 7 a.m. Met Opie and Anthony, shook hands with Patrice O'Neill. That was more wild, you know, and on 2 days of no sleep, then hung out with Dave Attell. Like, that was crazy. And Vegas was like, you drank for like a couple hours. That's nice. You know, I've more wild times in different areas than, you know, Vegas. Like, it's just Pittsburgh, better times in Pittsburgh. How many times have we like, we end up at a basement party and Mac Miller's playing in some underground basement party randomly.
You know what? You know what? I was really shocked at the that tram thing you guys have.
The incline or the
it goes down the side of the hill.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that looks like one of them ski slopes over there in Europe or something, you know?
Yeah, in Johnstown, they have one you could take a car down on. You park your car on, and it takes your whole car down with you.
How have I never seen that? Wait a minute.
Really?
Why? When did it go?
It's how you treat your car to something nice when you go on a date and take it. Like, here's a nice view of Johnstown.
Oh, New York. No, we don't got nothing like that here.
I was just in New York, and I still love it.
We got a tram that goes on Roosevelt Island. Yes, we got that.
Isn't that the one that's in all the like Welcome Back Kotter scenes?
What? No, not in Welcome Back Kotter. No, the tram. No, they just show Brooklyn Welcome Back Kotter.
Oh, okay. I used to go to New York once a month, and I still know nothing beyond Midtown. I'm like an idiot with what boroughs where. Or
it takes No, it takes some time. It's weird. It's not the city that I grew up in because it's. I mean, right now I'm editing in Midtown, and most of the people I bump into there, they're not from New York. You know, there's a lot of tourists, a lot of carpetbaggers, what we used to call in the old days, and it's not the same place. The neighborhoods don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Neighborhoods were very territorial in New York when I was growing up. You know, you had, Irish neighborhoods, Italian neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, Puerto Rican neighborhoods. You had everything, and now every neighborhood is like kind of, I don't know if it's good or bad. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I say, when everyone brings up the old days and everything, you got to look at it like this. There were some great things in the past that are better than today, but there's a lot of things today that are better than the past. So it's kind of a balancing act. Yeah.
I think there's a nostalgia thing. Like we like what we had in the past, and we're nostalgic for it. And it would be great to walk into a bar where I could just have a conversation with 5 really cool people about whatever, instead of being afraid of mentioning one political thing or one team that somebody's waiting for a fight nowadays. It seems like that part has changed.
Yeah.
Or an argument. And I just used to go and have discussions about everything, like quantum mechanics and a stupid TV show from 1980 that had 2 episodes.
Well, I try
you
never
never
to
know.
talk about politics in a bar because it's too controversial. So I just bring up religion.
Yeah, they love
Yeah, softball that one. Pittsburgh's version is like, there was like, I remember growing up at Pittsburgh, and they had the Green Room Comedy Club and the Improv. And if you did, or I guess it was called Laugh Factory. And if you did one, the owner caught wind of it, you were like blackballed from the other. So remember, Pittsburgh's not a big town. I always say it's a little town that likes to pretend it's a big town. So it's like grinding the comedy scene was either you're doing coffee clubs or like you're just going to underground low key go to one of these clubs and not like make a big thing of it. Like it's one of those things hearing about that was always fascinating to me. That the comedy owners of the two clubs.
Dennis Miller got banned from that club because he played another one.
Shut up, Dennis. Oh yeah,
and then he became Dennis Miller. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's insane.
Well,
yeah.
Well, fellas.
Yeah.
There's
Let's talk about how to find you.
From, and that is never overstay your welcome. You won't be welcome to stay over.
Hey, everybody, Kamal.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on, fellas.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. It meant the world for me, and I want you to please take away that you've made new fans of your show. Looking forward to season 3. We're gonna have the links up in the chat.
You gotta finish. You gotta watch season 2.
Oh, I'm gonna finish it probably within a week.
Get to 2. What you skip?
Don't tell about 2. He's gonna try to spoil that as well. Like,
I also didn't want to lie to you and come in here like, oh yeah, I know. Like I'm honestly,
listen, I appreciate you sticking. I tell everyone when they ask, hey, where can I see this, whatever. I go, just do me a favor. Just promise me this. Give me the first 3 episodes. If you don't like it after the 3 episodes, no hard feelings, that everything's fine, but just give me 3 episodes. And then they always end up telling me like, I wasn't sure if I would like this. It gets like it's a little slow at the beginning. And then the minute that I realized the guy's a con artist and then this Randy Roach Trap guy and all this, I was like, what is this? And then they couldn't stop watching. So I said, give me 3 episodes.
The first 5 minutes.
You have to watch season 2.
It's happening. Like I'm
gonna call back one of these days to find out.
I will message you and your people after I watch it with my honest thoughts if you want that. But I know I'm gonna love it. Yeah, no, I don't bullshit people either. Like that's the thing. Like if I didn't like your show, I'd be like, oh, you put a lot of work into it. You can tell there's a passion, and it was really wonderful. That I'm glad you have it. I honestly, you could ask these guys. I don't do this often. This is a new passion for me. This is something like the last time I felt like this was a series called From that Zaz introduced us to.
Hell yeah!
It just hooked me. And it's Paramount Plus. Or something, not even that.
Phenomenal show that's it's buried on the Paramount Plus subscription.
Sure,
it is.
Did you guys see Paradise?
No.
I liked it so far. It's only 1 season.
From
Righteous Gemstones. I love the first season. The second one I hated, but the third one made a comeback. But season 4, the first 2 episodes, I fell off the couch. They were so funny. You see the latest one? It's incredible. Yeah, it's really.
I have not. No.
But fellas,
Hey, real quick, guys, can we tell our listeners where you can find the show?
Oh, sure. Crash the System can be seen on Tubi TV, Apple TV. You could see it on Amazon, and Amazon would play season 1 only, not season 2. So screw Amazon.
Yeah.
Tubi TV. That's I like Tubi.
Tubi.
All right.
And everybody, it's worth it. If you're not signed up to any of those, sign up to them.
Absolutely.
Get this in front of you.
It's free.
Get on it.
It's free. It's something that honestly you'll thank me for. You'll thank Kamal for. And Kamal, thank you for being here. You're amazing.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the check's in the mail, by the way, for all those nice.
Yeah, you're cool. I'll say it again.
Thanks, man.
All right, fellas. Have a
Later.
good night.
Later, guys. We did it.
Yeah.
Play us out.
Oh my goodness, that is quite a question.
Oh, you are so funny. That is so true. You're like the only person that's ever asked me that question.
I'm really glad that you noticed that you pointed that out.
So I just want to give you a shout out and say it's appreciated.
It's been so fun chatting with you guys. I didn't realize how late it got.
I'll always talk to you guys.
Thanks very much. And again, you guys are super well prepared. You got your act together. I hope you continue to get more viewers. You deserve them.
You guys, you are the first podcast to bring this up, and I'm impressed. I'm really impressed.
Thank you. Bye.